My name's Jeremy Bassett. I'm CEO of CoCubed, and it's my privilege to be emceeing the stage. We've got an amazing lineup of content for you this afternoon. We're looking at brand challenges from AB InBev. We've got another innovation exchange, as well as a whole host of interesting brands and agencies pitching, presenting different case studies as well. When it comes to innovation, there's never been a more important time to look at how you can continue to optimize and continue to disrupt. In the last 60 years, only 12% of Fortune 500 companies still exist today. And the number of the decline of that is increasing rapidly. It's companies that innovate, that are the ones that adapt, that are the ones that survive. And one of those companies is New Era Cap. They've been going for over 100 years. They do about $1 billion in sales. You might not have ever heard of them. So here's a short video to give you a short introduction to what they do.
What is 100 years? In 1920, Erhard Cook turned a passion for headwear into the New Era Cap Company in Buffalo, New York. But everyone was making this kind of hat. So we came up with the big idea to make the best caps for the biggest sport. But something wasn't quite right. We wanted to show the logos with pride. And just like that, the iconic 5950 was born, changing the baseball cap forever. For the first time, the caps the pros wore on the field were officially sold in stores. And then something unique happened. Spike Lee called, the Spike Lee, and asked to have a red Yankees cap to match his jacket. We asked Major League Baseball, and they said, we had a chance to be disruptive. Spike's red cap launched sports headwear into a wider culture. Hip-hop made it a staple. Creators made it their own. Colors, fabrics, patterns. It was more than just your favorite team. And a gold sticker on the visor became as iconic as the cap itself. And those 4 numbers, we think it's an original production number. We don't know for sure, but we love them. From courtside to Crenshaw, from the 50 to 5th, it shouted that this is who you were, what you repped, and where you lived. The world saw it and wanted it. Where were we? Staying true to our roots. Fans of all sports became fans of us. People liked what we were doing, so our brand grew, and we became more than just a cap. That's 100 years. We thank you. Enjoy what comes next.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'll start by introducing myself. My name's Kashif Kasan, and I'm the Chief Customer Officer at UNRVLD. UNRVLD is a digital agency. We design and build digital experiences for maximum business impact. And we work very closely with New Era Cap in the EMEA region. John.
Hi there, my name's John Casey. I am the Sales and Retail Director for New Era Cap in the EMEA region, Europe, Middle East and Africa.
Thanks, John. And thank you for joining us at this fireside chat, where we're going to be talking about the journey that we've been on for the past couple of years to develop a D2C strategy for New Era Cap in the EMEA region. I think it's important to start by I know the video helped explain a little bit about who New Era Cap are, but a lot of people won't have heard of who New Era Cap are. You guys are the biggest headwear business in the world, right? Can you give us a bit of a sense about just how big you are?
Yeah, well, we lay claim to the fact that we invented the baseball cap. We're a business that started in, as you saw in the video, in Buffalo, New York in 1920. The business is still owned by the 4th generation, the great-grandson of the guy who started the business back in 1920. We started off creating products to play baseball in. In 1934, we signed up with the Cleveland Indians, which was our local team, and created the first cap that was designed to play baseball in. And we've continued to innovate ever since that, and we are now the official cap of on-field baseball. So every baseball cap that you see, if you ever watch baseball, go to the US, is a New Era cap.
I think one of the things that we've talked about a lot in the time that we've been working together, and I think it's really true from my perspective, is that there's very few brands out there with the kind of deep heritage that you guys have, right? And that have been around for over 100 years and are still looking forward and still innovating. But also you have a kind of an unusual culture, wouldn't you say, in terms of the way you do business as well?
Yeah, I think a lot of that is because of we're very much a family company. As I said, the fourth generation owner still actively runs the business. So it feels like a very small company. And that's in a positive way. I mean, I've worked for big...
But you're not small, right? I mean, you're a multinational
we're not small at all. And you know, we dominate athletic headwear in the marketplace in the same stores that are dominated by the likes of Nike and Adidas on footwear. So we are the smallest big thing out there, really, or the biggest small thing, depending on how you want to see it.
And I think it must be something to do with the fact that you are still a privately owned business, but you are multinational, that your culture doesn't feel overly corporate. You still have that feeling of entrepreneurialism in your business, don't you?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, we're a very American company. Our core products are authentic Americana, and that's what people really like them, because they remind them of the US, they remind them of places like New York or LA. Well, what they don't realise is over 90% of that product is designed in sunny Milton Keynes in Buckinghamshire in the UK. And that we have the ability to make products relevant for the European market. So yeah, they're quintessentially American, but if everybody in Europe wants to wear tartan, then we can make a tartan version of it, and that's not a problem.
So considering, you know, your market dominance and your heritage, it's also unusual about you that perhaps you're not that well known as a brand in and of itself. Your products are really famous, but you as a brand aren't that well known. But yet, if we were to think about similar brands with similar heritage, you're thinking about the likes of Coca-Cola, Levi's, even Nike doesn't have the same heritage that you guys have, right?
Yeah, we're in a unique position because fundamentally we're a licensed brand. But most people who do licensed properties don't have a brand to deliver them against. Yeah, so our biggest business was Major League Baseball with the NFL, which is American football, and NBA. So they're the three biggest leagues in the US, and we are the official supplier to all of those, as well as several Formula One teams such as McLaren, Manchester United, football teams, etc. What we offer is a uniquely strong product that has our brand on it, as well as the brand of the LA Lakers or the Chicago Bulls. So when a retailer comes to shop New Era, he buys across the whole of these categories. He's buying New Era and he's buying the licensed brand as well.
Right.
I mean, one of our objectives, as you know, and DTC is really important in that, is to further strengthen our logo and our brand as well, alongside that of our licensed partners.
Right. And I think another thing that I wasn't aware of when I first started working with you several years ago now was just how, well, there's no such thing as just a baseball cap, is there? It's far more complicated than that in terms of the way that you merchandise yourself and the variety of caps that you make available to your customers.
I mean, it's a really interesting point because our fundamental market is sports lifestyle. So when we recruit people into the business, we want people that maybe have worked for Nike or Adidas or Levi's or whatever, those big consumer brands in this space. They all think that headwear is really, really simple, because headwear, people talk about headwear as an accessory, like it might be a sock or a bag or whatever. For us, it's not. It's what we're about. It's not an accessory to us. It's a primary, and we can make headwear very, very complicated, very, very difficult indeed. We have numerous silhouettes or shapes, if you want to call that. All the teams that we use, all the different colours that we can have, fabrics. It's possible to have 1 billion options of New Era hat.
Right. And we'll talk about it in just a moment. But, for example, the hat that I'm wearing, a trucker style,
Yep.
it would be one of your silhouettes.
Yes.
But you've got maybe upwards of more than a dozen silhouettes, would you say, in terms of total variants?
At least some variants within that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, different heights, different shapes, different curvatures. Very, very complicated.
Different things going on with the peak, different things going on with the profile.
It's a visor, Cash.
Oh,
not a peak.
Yeah, I should.
You must get your terminology right.
I apologise
It's
sincerely
a visor.
For that faux pas.
It's designed for performance. So when you're playing baseball, the sun isn't.
So I don't say peak, I say visor.
Pardon?
I say visor, not peak. That's what I have.
Never say peak.
Never say peak, unless it's about performance.
Our product was originally designed as a piece of equipment.
Right.
It wasn't designed as an accessory. It was designed to help baseball players see the ball better.
There you go. There
And that's
you go.
very important to us. That's the heritage that we're born out of. We started off as a performance item. And the lifestyle element is adopted from that. And that's why I think our consumer likes us, because it's an authentic product. It actually means something. It stands for something. It's not been created in a design room.
And there's a huge amount of effort every season to innovate the brand, isn't there? With your collaborations, with influencers, with sports stars, with celebrities,
Yep.
with teams, and with various industries as well. And you get involved in that a lot, don't you, yourself, in making those deals happen?
I mean, the celebrity thing is brilliant. I think the celebrity thing, you saw it on there. It was Spike Lee's story, which is a true story. Spike Lee wanted to go to the World Series, and he wanted to wear, his Jordans were red. He was wearing Jordan 4, I think, and he wanted a cap that matched his Jordans. But of course, if you follow the New York Yankees, they wear blue, they wear navy, so he wasn't going to get one. So he phoned the owner of our company up and said, "Can you make me a red cap?" And he said,
Spike Lee called up.
Yeah, Spike Lee phoned up and said, "Can you make me a red cap?" And he said, "Well, I can make you a red cap. I don't know if the Major League Baseball will allow me to do that." And they said, "Well, whatever." So he did a red cap. During the game, everybody watched Spike Lee in the stands because he was wearing his red cap. You couldn't see his Jordans because he was sat down, right? But you saw his red cap. And after that, colour and innovation for Major League Baseball become a major thing, and took it away from just being a field piece to being a lifestyle piece.
And there was no looking back from that point, really, was there, for you as a brand?
Yeah, I mean, then we got adopted by the hip-hop generation, so we got adopted by the likes of Jay-Z, with the Yankees cap, with Nelly wearing Atlanta Braves cap, and then that really took us to the forefront of street culture then, and became adopted by, and that's the ultimate, I think, in terms of having a brand. When your brand is actually adopted by people, they choose to wear it, and they wear it in a different way, and they dress it up in a different way, and I think that's one of the strengths of New Era.
Right, and I think there's no doubt that once you become aware of the New Era cap brand, you see it everywhere, but it's not front of mind. It's not a brand that people are necessarily aware of. Even people who own your products may not necessarily know it's a New Era cap product, which you've already mentioned. So in some ways, you're in a very unusual position, aren't you? Because you're an essential part of the youth market's wardrobe. You're almost an essential part of it, but yet they may not necessarily know that it's you that's manufactured it. And I think, you know, that's a big challenge for you, right, as a business, and for yourself as a business leader.
It is a challenge, but it's a challenge from a very strong position.
Right.
Because as you talk about, our brand may be not as recognized as it could be, still very successful.
Yeah.
So then to move on to the next level and to get that recognition, I think our core consumer definitely knows who we are. He shops New Era, he shops 5950, which is our heritage product, again mentioned in the video. But yeah, of course, we would like to get more recognition for our flag, and then that takes us into loads of different places in terms of business development as well.
And I think that's one of the reasons why we started working together, was because to address that issue, it's not an issue, but to address that opportunity, I suppose, to develop a more D2C strategy for New Era Cap. And primarily that means really improving your e-commerce performance, your ability to sell directly to your customers online. But before we talk a little bit about that and the work on the technology side, we've already mentioned that you're no doubt an essential youth brand with very broad appeal as well. What do you think makes the brand just so hot, especially right now? Obviously, you've got people like Kim Kardashian wearing your hats. That doesn't hurt, does it?
I think, I've just mentioned it, all those celebs, right, are varying degrees of...
Big celebs, right?
Big celebs, yeah. So we don't pay anybody to wear our product.
Right.
You know, they either get styled with it because someone chooses their style with it, or they choose it themselves.
Right.
Fundamentally, though, we make really good products.
Right.
You know, we make really good hats. There's a lot of hats around, there's a lot of caps around, but ours are actually really good. There's 22 steps to make a New Era cap. A little YouTube video, you can see the owner of our company actually in the factory in upstate New York making a cap, and there's 22 stages to go into it. it's a nice piece of art as well.
It's craft, right?
It's art and craft. Best set.
Craft, right?
Craft.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me one bit. I'm a fan of the
We
product.
make really good products. We have the endorsement of the major leagues in American sport. America is the key wearer of headwear, I think. So like I mentioned before, we've got that. We do great collaborations with other people. We've just got a really fantastic collaboration going on at the moment with YSL. So that's taken into that kind of luxury fashion area, which is working really well for us.
And I think, John, it's that relationship that you have, especially with American sports, that gives you your authority, right? It gives you that authenticity. That's where you come from, and I think it's right, isn't it, that young consumers, that really resonates with them. That authenticity really resonates with them, right?
I think that means more than people realise.
Right.
I mean, the two things we always talk about as being very important to us is being authentic, that we are the baseball cap. So as most people, I mean, we sell literally millions of New York Yankees caps, and I'm sure the majority of those consumers don't even know what the New York Yankees are. They don't know about baseball. They might think it's just the cap of New York, which just got the NY on it. But ultimately is the most authentic product you can buy. And we always talk about heritage. We've been around since 1920. We're still a family-owned company. We really care for what we do. And it's the primary reason for us to be is headwear.
I think for those brands who don't have your heritage, there's just no way you can fake it, right? Not in the same way, unfortunately. So you've got to trade on that commodity, which is your genuine authority, your genuine authenticity, and your heritage is just something that really marks you out as unique as a brand proposition, right?
Yeah, it's our primary reason. We are authentic. We are the cap.
And even within that authenticity and that heritage and that long track, that history of product development, you're still relevant today, and that's clear to see why just how many people are wearing your products on the streets everywhere you go, and I think that's to do with you constantly looking at new collections, as we've already talked about, and there's a lot of emphasis on that scarcity, right? Some of your products are around for weeks?
Yes, some of the products are around for days. Some of the limited editions only last for days, and we do that sometimes by design and sometimes because we don't understand how big they can be.
Right.
The other thing as well, we have the ability to be locally relevant.
Right.
We have our American collections, which are driven around American sporting moments like the Super Bowl or World Series or NBA draft. But also we have the ability to make product that is relevant to today's consumer. So if everybody wants to wear turquoise, we can have a turquoise cap. If linen is the material of the season, we can have linen in our fabric mix. So we actually play on 2 points. We play with our authenticity on the sporting field, but we also play being relevant from a trend perspective as well.
I think one of the things, and I'm a little bit conscious of time, so we'll move quite quickly on through some of the things that I know that we want to talk about, but one of the things that I think is really interesting is that the concept that nostalgia, there is a sense of nostalgia about your brand, and that's not a trend, right? That's something that is kind of deep-rooted in your customer base. They're looking for something that represents that pre-digital age that they can collect and they can identify with. And that's true even of people who are like the Gen Z generation, not Gen Z. I don't want to cause any offense. Gen Z generation.
I'm sorry, I'm such an Anglophile.
For people who are 15, 16, 17, that matters to them. And that's something that I don't think is going to go away, right?
Yeah, our products are incredibly collectible. And there's a huge number of new era collectors out there who just want everything we've got. And every time we go into our past and talk about retro events, World Series wins for teams, which you think don't really mean anything, but people want that. They want that different, authentic stamp. So that's very, very important for us.
If let's talk a little bit about helping customers connect with the right kind of products.
Yep.
And obviously we've been working a lot together on the D2C, on the e-commerce part of your business. But most of your business is wholesale, right? And that's where you spend most of your time and most of your money is being made. And if we look at the retail experience, the bricks and mortar experience, most of your hats are sold through people like JD Sports and Foot Locker.
Yep.
Now, if I was to go into a JD Sports or a Foot Locker, how many types of products would I see on the rack there?
Well, it's the objective of those teams to increase that number on a regular basis, but probably 20 or 30 maybe.
Right.
Depending on the size of the store.
Yeah, so a selection, but not a great selection, right. But when we look at your website, then there's there's many thousands of products available
Yep.
to your
You
customers.
should know everything in theory.
And so, the challenge that we've been looking at over the last period of time is really rationalizing the user experience of your website and also taking advantage of the underlying power of the investment that you've made in the Optimizely digital experience platform as well. And one of the things that's enabled you guys to be able to do is to do experimentation and testing and learning. And that's been a really powerful moment for you, hasn't it, in terms of your
Yeah.
kind of like aha moments and what the art of the possible is?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things there. I mean, we calculated that probably half of our consumers purchase our products online, or half of our consumer purchases are made online, whether that be in the big multi-brand sites such as ASOS or Zalando. So we really important for us that as a brand that we have part of that as well. But the point you make is, as a guy whose whole career has been with bricks and mortar retail, to finally really understand how a consumer thinks. I mean, if you go into a store, I don't know where you're from. I don't know how long you stayed in the store. I don't know what products you picked up, what products you looked for that you couldn't find.
What you showed an interest in.
What products you walked to the till with and then walked away because the queue was too long or you didn't like the look of the assistant. But we know that in the digital world. And I think that's a really, really important. And we talked about this at length about what are the key factors what are the key, data that we need to look at to make a better decision. Because you don't have that data when you have 200, 300 retail stores. You don't know what your consumer is journey around.
It's the $1 million question, right? It's probably worth more than $1 million, actually.
Well, hopefully.
And I think the journey that we've been on and that investment that you guys have made in D2C, e-commerce, the right technology running on Optimizely's DXP, it's paid dividends, right?
Yeah, our business, since we've been working with you guys, the fact it's probably tripled in the time that we've been together. We still need to do more.
Still to do more, and that's happened.
We've really started to move in a positive direction.
Yeah. And the best is yet to come, I hope. I think we need to wrap. Yeah, we need to wrap. So I just want to end on. I don't think any fireside chat could be considered complete
without the metaverse.
If we don't talk about the metaverse, which I know you spend a lot of time hanging out in the metaverse, John.
I do.
You're trading NFTs like Panini football stickers on the metaverse, aren't you? But your caps are already there, right? You can already buy New Era caps.
Yeah, if you go on the NBA 2 game, there's if you play in the career mode, you can visit the New Era shop, and you can trade your tokens there to wear New Era caps in your.
So you're right on the curve. You're right on the innovation curve. You're walking the walk.
I think it's really relevant. I think the key thing for us is that we want to satisfy a consumer, and if we satisfy a consumer with virtual products as well as or real products, then that's what we'll do. We have to move with the times, and maybe you buy the physical product, and maybe you get the virtual products as part of the package. I mean.
Right.
That's all the things that we should be looking for.
And I think it speaks to the point you made earlier at the beginning of the session, which is that you are an entrepreneurial business. You still have that startup feel, even though you're a multinational organization. You will always be where the youth customer is. And if they're in the metaverse, then that's where you're going to be too. Because you know that by capturing them young, you've got them cradle to grave. They start wearing New Era caps young, they're going to wear them for the rest of their lives, right?
Exactly. I think we are, or maybe I should say we are those Gen X generation of the people that have grown up with sport.
Proudly Gen X.
Yeah, okay. We've grown up with sports products for lifestyle. My generation were the first kids to wear trainers, and we've worn them for the last 40, 50 years. So, you get them for life, that's for certain.
John, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Kaz.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Back to you, Jeremy.